I'm Jay Lockwood, author of A Beast Requires. And yes, I am a hot mess. It's like 90 degrees in here. This is humid and awful and disgusting. But I'm coming to you this week with another awkward author video, this time looking at the world building that went into A Beast Requires. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can world build. You can start huge and go on a cosmic scale or a planetary scale or an empire scale. You can go small with just a city. Or you can go really, really minute with like a city block, like knowing where your protagonist has his daily coffee and pie. I kind of get very specific. And I do all my world building, whether it's for a story I'm writing or a campaign I'm running in like D&D. I look at one thing. I look at food. Now, food seems like a weird way to world build. And maybe it is, but it really works for me. Because what food does, it not only tells you what your protagonist and your other characters are going to eat, but it's going to help define what the landscape is. It's going to help you figure out what the technology level is. It's going to figure out whether they're a massive trade partner, or if they're ruler backwing and don't have a lot of options. So it really begins to kind of open up everything as you develop and as you figure things out. And for A Beast Requires, I focused on one very specific source of food. Pigs. I love pigs. So looking at pigs, well, pre-domestication, wild boars. And wild boars were running around forests and having a good time until, like, man showed up and said, "Hey, pig, get over here." And then we started domesticating them. So it's going to give you forests. And it's also, when they're domesticated, it's going to give you pastures and fields. And I'd be using a whiteboard right now if I actually had skills using a whiteboard. I tried it earlier. It was terrible. Like, you couldn't even figure out what it was I was writing or drawing. So I'm like, I'm just going to talk about it, and hopefully you can kind of use your imagination to figure it out. If not, maybe I'll try a whiteboard later. Probably not. It got messy. It got scared the cats. There were issues. So we have pigs. And pigs, you got your pork chops. You got slabs of pork, because you don't really have anything else yet. So you start pairing stuff with pork. And one of the greatest things to pair with pork is apples. Like, apples and pork, delicious. So with apples, you branch out and get to orchards. And from apples, you got your savory option. You can distill it, get apple cider, and eventually cider vinegar. But really, when you think apples, you think apple pie. And apple pie is delicious. Apple pie is wonderful. Apple pie requires more than pork and apples. So you already got your fields. So go ahead and we'll throw some wheat in there just to get some grain. And you already got your pastures. So let's throw some cows in there to get some dairy production going on. You're going to get your milk. You're going to get your butter. You're going to get your cheese. This is great. And you're going to need salt. So, all right, we have our base city that produces pigs. And we're going to need a secondary city that produces salt. So either they're going to be inland with a quarry and not really have a lot of trade options or food options, or we put them by the sea and they're harvesting sea salt. And that's also going to open up the entire wealth of seafood available in this fictitious bay. So through trade, City A is going to be bringing over pork and apples, and City B is going to be trading sea salt and maybe shrimp. Let's take shrimp. I like shrimp. It's going to, very basic trade routes are going to form between these two cities. So looking at that and figuring out, okay, cool. I got some cheese going on. I got some, cured meat going on. This is delicious, but it needs something. It needs that extra little delicious thing. We need wine. Of course we need wine. Why didn't we think of wine before? So then wine, we're going to get vineyards and all that great stuff. And, we figure out, get some hills up in there, some rolling hills, some lovely rolling hills. Shout out to Rolling Hills. So we got our wine production now going strong, and we have high society having their cheese and their cured meat and their wine, and this is all fantastic and fabulous. But they're going to start to get greedy. They're going to want more. And they're like, we got this delicious cured meat. We got this delicious bacon. We had this thing. What was it that seafood place had? Oh, yeah, shrimp. We want more shrimp. So City A is going to be looking at City B and going, hey, we want more shrimp. And City B is going to be like, I don't want to give you more shrimp. And City A is going to be like, fine, we're going to come and take your shrimp. Hence the War of Shrimp. And it was a very, very short war. It lasted for a very brief amount of time because City A has a greater source of food, so therefore it's going to have larger army because it's going to have a higher population. In City B, well, we got some seafood and stuff going on. We don't want to have a whole lot more than that. So, tiny army, big army, tiny army, not a long battle. So now, City A is expanded into City B. So, now City A is just a bit bigger. It's got more food, so its population is going to keep bumping. It's going to start stretching out into the surrounding country, start gobbling up these pastures and these fields and forests. But we don't need a forest. We got trees everywhere. Let's chop that down and build some more buildings. And the hills, start mining those hills for stone. We can push the wine production out into other areas. And as they expand, they're going to be pushing that food production out from the general area around their city. And they're going to start developing roads because they got to transport those goods back and forth and everything like that. But that's tedious. That's tiresome. It's going to take a lot of carts to bring all that cheese from West City B to East City B. I don't know why this created another City B. I don't know. Just bear with me. But those carts and things like that, they're not going to get you very far. Like, you're not going to be able to do vast amounts of product. So you're going to need some bigger way to transport it if the city actually would have grown to this size and become an empire. So it's going to need a river. And I'm not, like, talking a creek. I'm not talking, like, some slimy little, like, snaky thing that goes to the countryside and everyone's like, oh, that's cute. No, it's a big fuck-off river. I'm talking, like, a huge, huge, gigantic fuck-off river. The kind that you, like, wave on one side and the people on the other side don't see you. But that doesn't matter because you just wave anyways and have a good day, right? So we're going to have this huge, gigantic city. The huge, gigantic river going through it is going to have massive amounts of river trade. And it's going to help feed this main city. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the food production is going to get pushed out to farther reaches of the empire. And you're going to start, like, discovering new sources of food. You're going to start discovering new things that they eat in other parts of this continent. Like, you're going to get some tomatoes. You get some cabbage, maybe some carrots, maybe some kale. I don't know. But there's going to be other sources of food coming out there that are going to be brought in and you know, consumed by this growing, massive blob of a city. Which is a problem. Have you ever left cheese in a car on a hot summer day? Imagine that cheese being locked in a car on a hot summer day for 3 months of overland travel. It's going to be terrible cheese. Like, absolutely terrible. Like, sure, you can cure stuff and pack stuff and salt stuff, but a lot of product is going to go bad on its way across this continent to feed this major city. And a lot of what this major city state might produce or refine is going to go bad before it can go back to its little satellite areas and far reaches of its empire. And without food, people get pissed. Like, they get royally pissed. They get so royally pissed they start killing royals. So you're going to start having revolts and revolutions, and people are going to start going, fuck this, no, we're done. We're keeping our food here. So wars are fought pretty much over bad cheese. So, with the cutoff to this food production that our big, large huge city has, people are going to start starving. And the problem is, because when there's strife, and when there's problems, when there's revolts, you're going to get influxes of refugees, and these refugees are going to be starving too. So how are you going to feed a gigantic, massive city as the food stores start dwindling down to nothing? Well, luckily, City A conquered City B. And City B was on the bay. You know, had its sea salt and its seafood. So, instead of turning towards the continent, it starts turning towards the sea. And that's going to start opening up a wealth of trade partners. Because, let's face it, the people on the continent, they just throw out their conquerors. They're not going to sit there and go, oh yeah, let's trade, let's have a good time. No, they're still pissed. So, in developing this ocean trade, you're going to start bringing in all kinds of new products, all kinds of new goods, all kinds of new food. Like different types of spices, different types of vegetables, even different types of meat, and coffee. Okay, let's throw coffee in there, because I love coffee. Coffee's good. So, yeah, let's give them some coffee, too. And you're going to get all these new cultures and new people, and some of them are going to stay. And you're going to increase that population even more. And that balance, you know, you're going to need more food to support all these people. One, you're going to need to do some ingenious technology. You're going to start getting creative. So, all right, we can do some food production on the rooftops of our city. We can just maybe put some fields up there, maybe some sties or some pastures, stuff like that. But that's not going to get you very far. And yeah, you can fish from the bay and stuff like that, but still, that's not going to be enough product. And maybe you have pockets in what remains of your once vast empire, which is now a teeny tiny kingdom, that may produce apples or may still have pigs, but it's still not going to be enough. So how are you going to trade? What do you have? you have a lot of people, and you can kind of have access to some goods still, right? Not food, but just goods. So you take those goods, start refining those goods, and create an entirely huge industrial sector. Like, I'm not talking Industrial Revolution size, but I think more like pre-Industrial Revolution, cottage industry, sweat mills, gears, grinds, smelly people. Very, very awful. So you're going to have all this production to buy all this food. And so you start developing better trade relations. And these trade relations are going to bring in more money, and the people that control the products are going to control even more money. And you're starting to have to start wealth accruing at the top, which sows seeds of strife. But the people have food right now, so they're cool. But once that food is threatened, things could happen. And a beast requires one particular point of view. One character is aware of this, and it terrifies him. While the rest of the people in the city of Orem, they're working, they're eating. Maybe they're not having a great time, but things aren't too bad. They got wine. They got hard cider. Granted, the wine is terrible. The hard cider is good. They got coffee. Maybe they got some tea, too. Or apple juice. So they got beverages going. They can have a good night out. And when they're having a night out, they get a nice snack platter. Maybe some breaded squid. Delicious. Everyone loves fried squid. It's so good. Or maybe some fried vegetables, which, you know, they're vegetables. They're healthy, right? I don't know. But the most important thing the civilization has, the city of Orem has, my favorite thing, it has barbecue pork. Yeah, because they got pig. And they got tomatoes. And they got spices. And they got vinegar. So there you got a sauce. It's got wheat. So you got your sandwich bun. And you got those cabbages and those carrots from earlier, so you can make yourself a nice slaw. And hey, you got those shrimps, and I'm sure they found corn at some point. So, hey, corn makes, you know, hominy grits. Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, shrimp and grits. That's great. And you still got apple pie. And everyone loves apple pie, and apple pie goes well with coffee, so you're all set. So food is good. For now. But the events of a beast requires things start to unravel really quick. And when you start taking away people's food, and people start to starve, that creates a whole nother world of problems. Thank you for listening to me ramble for a good 13 minutes on food. This is how I will build. I know it's a little bit all over the place, but I physically kind of got an idea of what the area around my city looks like. I know there's a bay. I know there's a river. I know there were hills that got either quarried or built upon. There used to be a forest, and maybe there's still some traces of that around. And I know that there's still some areas of the city that, or some areas of the teeny tiny kingdom that still, like, our farm towns are very rural. Like the town that Albacon Pine, one of our protagonists, comes from. So going in, I kind of know what everything is. And I know what they're going to eat and what they're going to drink. And there's a lot of chapters in my book around people eating and drinking. So, yeah. Thank you very much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys have a great time, and I hope you please check out A Beast Requires, which is now funding on Inkshares. It's $10 to back an ebook copy of it, and $20 for a Dead Tree edition of it. So please come to the link. Follow the link. I can't talk right now. Yeah. Follow the link at the bottom where my hands are, I hope, if I can figure this out right, and look at my book. Please, take a look at my book. It's kind of awesome. It's kind of cool. It's really funny, too. So, I'm Jay Lockwood. Thank you again. Good night.